So from where wisdom is coming from? Wisdom is coming from family background, first of all. Wisdom is coming from family. So where a child learns, it is from the family and the society. Some of the basic requirements, basic education of a person is happening within the family circumstances. Already we said, now in Indian context we have got this family tradition, right? So a barber's son becomes barber, right? A potter's son becomes a potter. That's family tradition. There is wisdom, already we said. Potters are wise, morning women are wise, we said. So many things we say. So therefore, from where wisdom, one can attain wisdom? First of all, within the family, where a particular trade of living is being taught to our children by their parents. So this is the beginning of wisdom. And also, there is second mode. There another way people are being taught, learned or gain wisdom by attending the scribal schools. We said there are scribal schools, and there they go and attend and learn ways of wisdom, or they gain wisdom. So these are the two sources of wisdom, from where one can gain wisdom. One is from, first of all, within the family background, one learns, one gains wisdom. Second one is attending the scribal schools. Attending the scribal schools would mean going to the classes, lectures. Through that they gain the wisdom. So these are the two modes. Now first mode, family wisdom, or wisdom that is coming from, we call it also popular wisdom. Family wisdom we call also as popular wisdom. So every child gains wisdom through a family or a clan. There were families first, secondly there were clans, next only kingdoms, right? This is the human development in the history. First there were individual families, later there have been same group of people living together, this clan, that clan. Still, even if you go to Africa, you will find these clans, individual clans living together. Later, all the clans together form a kingdom, like one kingdom. So that's all. Now next question we will ask. Now if students or children, younger generation attain knowledge from the family or gain wisdom in the family and a clan context. We also said there were schools, scribal schools, where one can gain wisdom. Now where were these scribal schools began? Where were they? That's a question. Scribal schools are there. You should write that question. Where were the scribal schools? The scribal schools are always attached with the temples. The temple premises or king's palace. The scribal schools are attached either to the temples or to the royal palaces. So, therefore, what we are trying to say? The scribal schools, they have imparted wisdom to the king's family. Therefore, there are court-connected scribal schools, there are temple-connected scribal schools. That point we should make it clear, important. Now, we said in the beginning, the scribal say wisdom in ancient Near East as well as in Israel, it is a pragmatic and practical and all that we said. And one more important thing, in the beginning I did not make it. This wisdom literature, you will seldom find God-oriented topics like. You will not find much, right? Like any other books, you will not find God. Therefore, you will find less theology, more practical wisdom. So this is the nature of these books. If this is the case, why where that shift had happened? In the beginning, all these books were secular. All these books were secular. Now they are incorporated into sacred texts like Torah, like prophetical books. They are being incorporated. Now, where this shift had happened in Israel? In Israel, where this shift had happened? We know during the time of post-exilic time, you know, monarchic period in Israel, we have monarchic period, or before that, tribal confederation, which means 12 tribes and each tribe maintaining in each region. That we will find Samuel, before Samuel, during the Judges, book of Judges, we will see this history. Each tribe is responsible for a particular land. As they entered, they occupied each land. According to tribes, land was distributed, right? And now each tribe was managing. When someone, other opponents come, they all together come and fight and chase away. And again they live as an individual clans. Then from there is a monarchy. Started from Saul, King Saul, right? Then after that David, and after that. Then there is a divided monarchy. After the time of Solomon, his two sons divided the kingdom. 10 tribes as Israel, 2 tribes as Judah. Kingdom of Judah, kingdom of Israel. Under Jeroboam, under Rehoboam. 2 sons of, okay, these all. Then during that time, there was Assyrian attack, later followed by Babylonian attack. So deportation to Assyria, deportation to Babylon. So this had happened. So all the Israel's history is monarchic, exilic. This monarchic period we call it as pre-exilic, exilic, post-exilic. So this is how time is divided. Now we are saying these wisdom writings were being written and they have less to talk about God. Most of them are practical wisdom. And if this is practical wisdom, why they have been incorporated into these other 2 books which are already been called books of God, Torah and Nebiim? Though there is no time and again information about God revealing, why these books are incorporated into this? When that happened, that shift, that's what we are questioning. The shift had happened during the post-exilic period, after people returning from Babylonian exile. So now what they have done, they have incorporated these books into those, and they started reflecting this wisdom literature under the light of Torah. So that was the major shift in the wisdom literature. During the post-exilic period, the texts which were so secular are incorporated into sacred texts during the post-exilic period through interpreting Torah into that, or looking from the angle of Torah. These books, book of Proverbs, book of Job, book of Kohelet, all these things are interpreted under the light of Torah. Therefore, they became sacred books are turned into secular books. Sacred books are turned into secular books. That you keep in mind. So, this is a major shift during the post-exilic period. And that's why you will see, open your book. Oh, sorry, open your Bible. Sorry, by mistake I said. We see book of Job. Book of Job. We'll open book of Job. If you remove chapters 1 and 2, chapter 1 and 2, or say remove chapter 1 and again remove chapters 42, last chapter. So first chapter, last chapter, if you remove from the book of Job, you will have all the discourse of an innocent man suffering. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 1, chapter 42. There is a God intervening. Okay? That's how the books which are so secular in content are given religious quote through looking at interpreting from the looking at the angle of Torah. So there is an important major shift. Don't go and teach these things to the people. They will not understand anything. This is for us to know, because we are teachers. Therefore, we should know. Therefore, you can't say there is no revelation from God. Wisdom is coming from where? God becomes the abode of wisdom, and out of God there is no wisdom. If at all there is wisdom, it is from God. That's where, looking from Torah. When you look at from Torah, instruction from Torah, you'll always understand it's God's revelation. Wisdom is God's revelation. Point E. Next one, point E. The forms of Hebrew wisdom. If there is time up, please, brother will note me. The forms of Hebrew wisdom. So, wisdom already we said, they fall into different categories. So, wisdom sayings, how they will be in different. First one, they are fables, stories. Wisdom sayings are sometimes they are stories, right? Like riddles, right? We have. Then we have allegory. These are the different forms of wisdom literature. How wisdom literature is formed into. So these are then another popular and folk proverbs and literary proverbs. Okay, parables, allegory, riddles. There are riddles, and there are hymn. Proverbs are available in these are the different literary forms. I am telling what are the literary forms of Hebrew wisdom. So one we shall say, like in a riddle form, as the door turns on its hinges, so does a lazy person is in bed. Proverbs 26:14. Proverbs 26:14 would speak about This. What the lazy man does? Go to bed always, right? He will be rolling on the bed this side and that side. So now his situation, Proverbs would say, as the door is hanging on the, also, so particular door is hanging on the hinges, if you remove that, it will fall down. Okay? It's moving from this side and that side. So like the lazy person, on his bed he tosses this side and that side. Then another proverb, Proverb 16:26, riddle forms. The appetite of workers works for them, their hunger urges them on. So it is because of appetite worker is working, not because he wants to work, not because he wants to earn and become big. No, he is working because of his appetite, because he is feeling hungry. So these are some of the wisdom. Some of the wisdom sayings or wisdom literature are in autobiographical form. Different forms we are talking about. Another one is autobiographical form. Did we say him? Did we say him also? Him I will just read one example I will give you. Proverbs 8:12 to 18. Proverbs 8:12 to 18. There I will just read through for you. Wisdom is also written in a which form? Hymn form, hymn voice. Let's see. I wisdom. In the Proverbs 8:12 to 18 it would read, I wisdom live with prudence, and I attain knowledge and discernment. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil. And the perverted speech I hate. I have good advice and sound wisdom. I have insight, I have strength. By me kings reign, and rulers decree what is just. By me rulers rule and nobles, all who govern rightly. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and prosperity. So this is the form in which wisdom literature is presented. It's a hymn form. So it's a wisdom itself is personifying as if he is a person, and through him rulers or kings, they continue that old order we said, right? Old order is being confirmed through kings because they attain me. And it would say, if those who hate me, which means those who do not want to gain wisdom, they will be say, their life goes to doom. But those who love me, so it says, I will love them, which means those who gain me, they will prosper. So, it would mean, we will read in the book of Proverbs, the wise prosper, the ways of wise leads to light, and the ways of the wicked, those who hate wisdom, leads to doom. So, this is the clarion call of the book of Proverbs. We shall see when we come back to book of Proverbs. Then there is an autobiographical form. Wisdom literature also is presented in autobiographical form, that we shall read from Proverbs 24:30 to 34. Autobiography. So it's speaking about himself. Autobiography, you know, no? So one's own identity we write about. Autobiographies. We have so many autobiographies, right? Yeah. Book of Proverbs 24:30 to 34, it would read, I passed by the field on one who was lazy, by the vineyard of a stupid person, and see, it was all overgrown with thorns, The ground was covered with nettles, and its stones wall was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the heads to rest. And poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed warrior. So, wisdom is speaking about herself, telling, she is giving a description. She is passing through, it seems. So there she has come on a person who is lazy and is vineyard. Now, how is he? He is simply tossing on his bed left and right. Therefore, what is the condition of his vineyard? His wall is broken. So, vineyard, we have fencing now. Fencing is gone, which means all the wild animals or all these things, sheep and all, everything they will eat. Secondly, a vineyard needs timely trimming. Especially during month of September, you have to trim. If you have got vineyard here, I know some, why? Some, they are there still? That side? Yes, sir. College? That side, yeah. So in the month of September, you have to trim. If you trim, there are new shoots are coming. Along with the new shoots, new flowering, new fruit. If you don't trim, less production you will have. No, what wisdom is telling, I have come to pass through a lazy person's vineyard. And his vineyard is just overgrown because of his laziness. Therefore it says, if you do not gain me, attain wisdom, therefore it would say, poverty will be on you. There is a wonderful story about an ant and a grasshopper. An ant during the summer, it goes on, collects all the food and stores in his in ant hill inside. Otherwise, grasshopper you know, no? That creature that flies here and there. So it flies all along joyfully in the summer. When the rain comes, it has no food, it starves and dies. Whereas ant collected sufficient food, and therefore it need not to come out during the rainy season. It quietly eats and lays egg. So this is what? Wisdom. Wisdom is calling, gain wisdom. So it says, gain wisdom. Then there is another form of literature, or wisdom literature, onimasticon, that you have in your book. You have printed copy, you can see there. There is a name list, lot of name lists. In the book of Job, chapter 28, 15 to 16, we have good example of this. Name lists, lot of name lists. So these are the different genres, or we say different literary forms. We know particular book of, let's say, book of Genesis. Take book of Genesis. What are the forms? What are the literary forms they are there? They are stories, they are narrations. Okay, stories of stories of creation, whatever it is. Then there are narrations. Okay, narrating about the flood story. Lot of narrations are there. So likewise, Hebrew literature, especially wisdom literature, they all form into different categories. There are two short way of speaking, like riddles. So there are poems. The narrations are very few in the book of literature, in the book of wisdom literature. narrations are very few. So these are the 4 common literary forms. Now, after having said so much, break? You say, raise your hand, then I will know. Break? Yeah. It's 11.